Hello everyone, my name is Rumel and I'm going to be walking you through the best strategy for rebattling Ho-Oh. This is the most simple and consistent strategy I've found. It's super easy, and it only uses 2 Pokemon. For this strategy, you're going to want a modest Chandelure, and then also a plus defense or plus special defense Gliscor. Now the stats should not matter, but it is recommended that you have 20 plus in HP, defense, and special defense on the Gliscor. However, I went ahead and just bred up really nice alpha Pokemon of each. Although you do need the hidden ability access on the Gliscor, as you need the ability Poison Heal. Also make sure on Chandelure, your ability is set to Flash Fire. The only required moves on Gliscor are going to be Facade and Roost. And the main moves we're going to be using on Chandelure are Calm Mind and Shadow Ball, although Energy Ball will also come into play. Now the EVs are going to be the most important thing on both of these Pokemon. Make sure your Gliscor is set to 140 HP, 140 defense, 50 special defense, and 180 speed. Now Chandelure, I don't know if it matters as much, but I did go ahead and just max out special attack and speed, with the remaining 6 EVs going into defense. Alright, so here are the items that you will need for the Ho-Oh fight. Obviously the Toxic Orb and the leftovers for your Pokemon. You're going to need at least 2 Super Repels. You're also going to need some X special attacks and some X defenses. You also need to make sure you have some Hyper Potions, Moo Milk, or other healing items. However, if the strategy goes well, you should only need to use 1 X special. So you want to head here to ECRUTEAK City, and then you can start to make your way up Bell Tower. Now there will be encounters on the way up the tower, but you want to hold off on popping Repel just at the start. Make sure your Gliscor is in the lead, and the first turn here, we're just trying to get poisoned, so we're going to go ahead and Roost. As you can see here, Eradicate does almost no damage, but we get that poison on our Gliscor. As soon as you're poisoned, go ahead, pop a Repel, and let's climb the tower. Without further ado, let's go ahead and battle Ho-Oh. For this strategy, we need to immediately get Chandelure up to +3, that way it can take care of any of the ads that pop up. With Gliscor's turn, we're going to go ahead and pop an X special. Use that on the Chandelure, and with the Chandelure, use Calm Mind. Now regardless of whatever legendary beast comes in first to aid Ho-Oh, the strategy is pretty much the same. You're going to go ahead and shift with Gliscor, this is to avoid all damage. Then on Chandelure's turn, you're going to go ahead and either use a Shadow Ball on Entei or RAIKOU, but because we have a Suicune here, we're going to go ahead and use an Energy Ball. Now as you can see here, all of the attacks fail, except for mine. The legendary beast goes down, and Gliscor and Chandelure heal up a bit. Now the goal with Phase 1 is to get Chandelure as high a special attack as possible, and then start to deal damage to Ho-Oh. When it's just Ho-Oh alone, you're not going to be able to do any damage because it's going to outspeed. So the strategy is always the same. Calm Mind with Chandelure, and shift to avoid the damage. As you can see here, strategy remains the same. With the legendary beast out, we shift with Gliscor, and use a Shadow Ball on Entei. Alright, and with Ho-Oh in the sky, now is the time to attack. Chandelure's up to +4 special attack, but it really doesn't matter. Essentially, whenever Ho-Oh is in the sky with your Gliscor, you're going to go ahead and use Shadow Ball on the Ho-Oh, and with Gliscor, you're going to use Facade for a little bit of extra damage. As you can see here, it's freed from the Sky Drop, doing absolutely no damage. We do Facade for a little bit of chip damage, boosted by the poison. But really, the big damage is going to be that Shadow Ball. As you can see, it's starting to do some pretty good damage. Again, Legendary Beast comes out, strategy is the same. Shadow Ball the RAIKOU, and shift to avoid the damage. Again, with the Ho-Oh in the sky, we're going to use Facade for a little bit of chip damage, and Shadow Ball on the Ho-Oh. Now, since there's no Legendary Beast out, but Ho-Oh is not in the sky, we're going to go ahead and shift to avoid the damage, and Calm Mind up, since Chandelure will not be able to hit it since Ho-Oh outspeeds it. Then on this next turn, with it in the sky, go ahead and Shadow Ball the Ho-Oh, and use Facade. Again, same thing here, we're going to Calm Mind up, and shift to avoid the damage. Now Chandelure is max special attack at this point, but the strategy remains the same, as your attacks will just miss, so might as well get that special defense up. We're going to go ahead and keep using Facade, however, if your Gliscor is at low HP, when it's in the sky, that is the time to heal up. That's why we have Roost. My Gliscor's at full HP, so I'm going to go ahead and Shadow Ball and Facade. Again here, we're going to go ahead and shift to avoid damage, and Calm Mind up one last time for Phase 1. Now I think this last turn of Phase 1 is the most important. Chandelure is going to kill the Ho-Oh. With this last Shadow Ball, it's going to do enough damage, and Phase 2 will begin. Now my Gliscor is at 100% HP, so it does not matter at this point. However, some of the time, it can be much lower HP. If your Gliscor is around half health, it will die going into Phase 2 and the strategy will fail. So it's very important at the end of Phase 1, when Ho-Oh is around 20% health and going to die this next attack, use Roost. It failed since we're at full HP, but Shadow Ball will come out, finishing off the Ho-Oh. And now it is my job as a shiny hunter to let you know that there will be a shiny noise happening. And that marks the start of Phase 2. As you can see, a huge hit comes out against Gliscor, doing 62.7% damage to a maximum stat Gliscor. You definitely want to be full HP going into Phase 2. Now the Phase 2 strategy is very similar to the Phase 1 strategy, although it's even simpler. All you're going to go ahead and do is shift with Gliscor and Calm Mind up. Now again, you do not need to heal your Gliscor. As long as it has some health left, you should be fine. Poison heal will be more than enough, and you won't be taking any more attacks. For the first 3 turns here, we're just going to go ahead and shift and Calm Mind. Easy strategy. Again, one last time, we're going to Calm Mind up and shift over. Now once Chandelure is up to +3 special attack and +3 special defense, it's time to start the barrage. Now the guide I'm following says that you can Flamethrower if Flash Fire is activated, however I found that Shadow Ball works just as well. Same as always, we're going to use the Gliscor to shift and Shadow Ball with Chandelure. And for the rest of Phase 2, the strategy is the same. You're going to go ahead and Shadow Ball the Ho-Oh and shift with the Gliscor. Once again, we're going to shift and Shadow Ball. Now this is the best thing about this strategy. I think that after basically one run, you've got it down. It's very basic, very simple, there's not much to it. It's shifting and then buffing, and then shifting and then attacking. We're going to go ahead, use Shadow Ball, and shift. Instead of just finishing off the Ho-Oh right away, I wanted to test out some things, so I kept it alive, reset, and did some more runs. This awesome guide was provided by secretgg, really appreciate him sharing that. And it does outline some special circumstances that can happen. We can go over them right now. Now here in Phase 2, if your Gliscor is really damaged, you can go ahead and use Roost on it and shift with the Chandelure. That way you'll still avoid the damage, and Gliscor can heal on up. So this is one of those rare cases where if Entei is on the field and Ho-Oh is in the sky with the Gliscor, you actually want to use a X special defense on your Chandelure and then Shadow Ball the Entei. If you don't, this is what will happen. Do this successfully and just continue the strategy as normal. Now, and if the RAIKOU lives through the first Shadow Ball, you're just going to go ahead and repeat the same thing. Use another Shadow Ball on it and go ahead and shift to avoid the damage. The strategy remains the same pretty much whenever there is a beast out. And then basically go back to the same old strat. Shadow Ball when a Ho-Oh is in the sky and use Facade, and when it's on the ground, shift and Calm Mind. Now there were a few other rare instances that did not happen when I was testing. If Gliscor gets -1 defense by Crunch, you're going to want to go ahead and use a X defense on the Gliscor and then shift or Calm Mind with the Chandelure. Additionally, if your Chandelure got taken up into the sky, you're going to want to use a X defense on Chandelure with both your Chandelure and your Gliscor's turn. And additionally, in Phase 1, anytime your Gliscor gets low HP, you're going to want to use Roost. Now, I have fought Ho-Oh numerous times over the past few days, testing a few different strategies, throwing my own teams at it, and nothing has been easier than this strategy. It's simple, it's consistent, it doesn't take much learning to get into, and thankfully, you only need to train up 2 Pokemon to level 100 to do it. So let's go ahead and see rewards. But first, we need to defeat this Ho-Oh. One last time, I'm going to go ahead and shift and use Flamethrower to finish it off. Alright, Ho-Oh down, we get 10 Rainbow Quills, and we also get 3 Legendary Lures. The Ho-Oh flies off, and is not available for another week. If you want to check when Ho-Oh is available, you can come down here to Instance Info, pop that up, and you can see Ho-Oh's cooldown says 6 days, but really it's 6 days and 24 hours. Now let's talk rewards. As of right now, the 10 Rainbow Quills you get are worth about 100,000. and the 3 legendary lures are worth about 100,000 each. The price has gone down here, but they have been selling for about that price pretty consistently for the last few days. I think over time the price will keep going down, but for right now this remains a very good moneymaker, as each run through Ho-Oh will net you about 400,000 Pokeyen. Additionally, you could also use these lures for your own purpose if you want to catch the legendary beasts. Now this is a great moneymaker if you have alt accounts with Johto Complete. You can simply just trade your 2 Pokemon over, do a run of Ho-Oh, and it should only take about 10-15 minutes per run. Let me know in the comments down below if you've beat Ho-Oh again. Leave a like if the video was helpful or if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more Pokemon MMO content. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck battling Ho-Oh.